Small incident happened, which I think storytelling. We were apprehended, I think it was in Brest when we first entered, and we saw a lot of very accommodating police stations there, and they were very interested in all my books and my books and everything, and found many of my articles fascinating. And even kept a few to their own pleasure.
Was there anything confiscated?
Yes, a lot of books and some of my songs and generally literature.
Where?
Very heavy.
Where?
This was in Brest.
Brest? When you...
That is just as you get in, just as you enter from Poland. But apart from that, we didn't eat very much, but what we did eat was very good. And we were able to sightsee around Moscow without the aid of a guide, which was, I think, very useful. Anybody free for us hadn't been told of our arrival, so that we cared for ourselves in Moscow, which was liberating. We got to the back streets and the usual places, Red Square, and the tomb, which is called Rome, it's a big supermarket, and then we went to Lenin's tomb over the road.
What did you think of the show?
I love it. I've been there a couple of times. I find it, I can't believe it. I have to keep going back to remind me of where I live.
What did you buy that more?
This? Oh yes. Well, this is the only superstar I could find over there. So, so of course I always wear what's fashionable when in Rome.
You bought it in Moscow?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think it cost me about 300 rubles. The things seem to be. The prices seem to vary a lot on goods from one store to another, depending on how much they like or dislike the customer. Oh my goodness, it's something.
Was it a strenuous journey? You think they are...
Oh no, I adore it. Yeah, no, I like transit. I like traveling in transit. I'm a very hardy animal for traveling in trains and cars. I like it very much.
Much Russian film.
A lot, yeah. Yeah, I learnt my placebos and Dr. Manuel. Well, they had my song, so maybe it's unlikely. I don't know. I applied half-heartedly once, and quite wholeheartedly once, and neither way seemed to work yet, so maybe it won't happen. I don't know. I would love to very much. It would be fascinating. I think both sides, both we the artists and the audience, would stand incredulous in each other. I can't envisage what it would be like. No. I didn't see any representation up there of any kind of music. I saw some folk dance albums. I heard quite a bit of radio, and it was a strange blend of Polish jazz and very light way to James Last interpretation. You know, a combination of jazz, James Last. Yes. This is the culture shock. This is good culture shock.
Why did you do that trip inside these lights? Did you do it?
Well, there are several ways, I believe, to get here, but that one is one. A couple of my friends hadn't been there before, so I took there. And I don't fly, so overland is the only way to travel anywhere. And I would like to. Well, I pretend I'm Christopher Isherwood when I do journeys.
Tell me, why do you choose these different roles you play, like Vicky and all those?
That is my particular role, is choosing roles.
Which one you like best?
It depends what the show is. It's not a question of like, it's adapting to them and trying to understand the roles. It's like any acting job. I don't think any actor has a favourite role. The Christopher Isherwood role is the one I like the most. Oh, heavens, yes. For which style, though? Which style are you talking of?
The rock one, for example.
The new one?
Yeah.
That was generated by the knowledge that I was coming back to Europe. So I picked up again immediately on some of the old things that were fundamentals for when I started singing and playing, like Western theatre, Max Reinhardt, and expressionist writing. It was generally going back to kind of the European roots. And I guess the excitement of coming back to Europe, it naturally worked its way into the show.
You said somewhere that you would like to film for Ingmar Bergman.
Very much so, yes.
And that you would like to start back in 2006.
Yes.
Have you heard that he is left Sweden now?
Yes, I heard that, yes.
Do you have any comments?
I'll go and find him.
He's in Paris right now.
He's in Paris?
I think so.
Then maybe I stand a very good chance of meeting him. I'm going to Paris in 2 years' time, I think.
Have you met him?
Never, ever.
Why is it that you've taken a particular liking to him?
I think a would-be actor, there are maybe 4 or 5 directors, but a would-be actor would tend to work for more than anything else in Bergman. That's generally on everybody's list. At least on mine. Not exclusive, there are some others.
David, you also said that you would like to play with him.
Yes. I know him fairly well, and he's promised me. And I'm going to hold him to it. Yes, he said, David, as soon as you've done your first film, I shall look at it and decide whether I'm going to use you in one of my films. So you can quote him on that and remind him for me. No, I think it's quite likely that in time our work, we get on very well. We have, I think, the same slightly awkward look at life.
When I go to the next film,
I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants me at the moment.
He's the man who fell in love ready for showing
In where?
in the United States?
Yes, I do. Barbara? When is it coming out? Do you know?
I think in June.
In June in the
Cinema
States.
5.
And this part of the world, I don't know. I don't know.
In the next few months,
I'm very ignorant about when things are shown. But oh yes, it's already showing in London. And I believe it is on in Rome yet.
It opened in Italy like a week or two ago.
Yeah. So it's all very recent. Maybe it will be shown.
how do you get into that process?
Yeah.
It was the first script offered to me that didn't require me to play the part of a rock singer. And I think that was good for my ego. If somebody took me seriously, I said I needed a wax. So I didn't have that. It was straight part. And it didn't require me to dress up in soundstage or and I fought over the soundtrack because I didn't have to do that because I didn't want the film to sell on a soundtrack. I wanted it not to be a soundtrack accompanied by a film that came out later. You know, I wanted it to be a film fundamentally and just to see what kind of reaction I would get from myself looking at myself acting.
But the reaction from outside has been very good until now. I mean, does it mean that you are...
I'm sure about that. I've seen me and I think I act like a zombie, but Nick wanted me to non-act, so I non-acted. And some days I wasn't to move my face at all because the Thomas Newton, the character I played, hadn't quite learned how to express certain emotions on his face, and I would come off the set, my face would ache, and I'm not being able to do anything with it. Doing everything like this, absolutely definitely. No responsibility whatsoever.
For the music department and bias you have?
Has nothing to do with my music. My music is anything but violent. Rock music I don't know about. I'm David Bowie. Rock music is something I use. Rock is not my life, never has been and never will be. It's the paint upon with which I use it to paint my canvas. Rock music is not my bag.
the word, you know, understanding in a general way.
I don't take any interest in that anymore. There's nothing I read. I don't find it on Stockhausen, John Cage, Vivaldi, Beethoven, and Tommy Steele. I think the last rock album that I bought was probably The Doors, one of the Doors albums. Since then I've been given hundreds of rock albums, but I've played those not the full interest.
He once mentioned in a Rolling Stone that rock was not have been a part of your life for many years. Don't you feel that it's slightly irresponsible to say for all these kids who are
well, reading it, I didn't want to decide which drugs, I mean, whether it's the kind of drugs that kids are on or whether it's the kind of drugs that all our mothers and fathers were on. I didn't know which one I should use, so I just got the name brands out. Maybe I should have been more specific.
you are producing a hip hop life.
Yes. I have nothing better to do. Iggy was one of the only interesting people left for me in Rotterdam. They were very cool.
I heard that myself.
Oh yes, of course, all the time. Yes, he's a splendid traveling companion, very funny, and again has an attitude and an outlook that I admire and find very amusing.
Have you recorded it?
Yes, definitely. Yes, we're going to have an album. We're doing it all in my living room, whichever place I'm staying in. I set up some equipment. We're not using a studio. And it seems to be excellent. Dare I say so. I can't, let's see what happens when it's all been together, but I'm very excited about it.
What about your own future recording?
I haven't a clue. I think maybe I should do an instrumental album. Another David Bowie album that just was an instrumental album. I've been given a label by RCA, and I hope to bring out some experimental stuff that I've been doing over the years and some artists that I particularly admire on that label. I wish that I'd had it many years ago when I was doing Lou Reed and other people, but unfortunately I didn't have that kind of swing in those days. Now I can just go like that and I get a label. And now I can go back to one of the original things that I wanted to do, which is try and expand in a more of a multimedia direction.
What instrument would you play on that instrumental album?
I think probably mainly synthesizers definitely, guitar, piano and saxophone.
3 years ago you said no more concerts.
Yes.
Now you're here.
Yes. It shows you what a liar I am.
By the way, what kind of plans do you have with your media company?
What plans do I have?
Yeah.
To set it up firstly, which is very aggravating and very hard, a colossal task, because I'm only just learning to become a businessman and learn to keep my money for a change. It's splendid. I love it. It's really, really very rewarding. I really enjoy it.
How is your lawsuit going on lately?
Oh, heaven knows. We'll have to code America. That's one thing that whilst I'm sure I try not to trouble myself generally, it's not very helpful.
You would be a kind of company president after a while, and look an article.
Okay.
It's possible that you would be a company president after.
With me?
Yes.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah. No. That's scary.
What about future films? There was some talk about you were going to make some films. Where do you
Oh, yes, they threw me out of that because they asked for too much money.
Which one?
Yes. I wanted the money from that film so that I could pay Bergman to do his.
What about your future in politics?
What about my future in politics?
You said that you would like to become the Prime Minister.
Yes, I think that's the only thing one can do after being in rock and roll that amount of time. It seems a reasonable statement to me.
What kind of party would you vote for in an election in England today?
What kind of
What party would you vote for in an election in England?
Would I vote for?
Yes.
I wouldn't. I would have to start from a small cause and form my own party. I would definitely know.
What kind of party?
A birthday party.
Do you think that superstar will all get presidency and get politically involved, is interested in politics or like somebody starting in America?
Oh, I think I have every right to be interested in anything on it.
Yeah, but still would like to back up a candidate for
No,
Labour Party?
only myself. I wouldn't be interested in adding any kind of personality, power, or money to another country. And let them survive on their own. Yes, but my way, I don't think there's anybody that I see in England at the moment, including Jeremy, that would get either money or personality push. Not loudly, but they have ideals which fall short of my own ideals.
What are you?
My ideals would far too expensive to be nutshelled in such a good museum.
What do you regard as your home base nowadays?
It seems to be at the moment that I have a temporary position in Switzerland, which seems to it's been the first home for me in 7 years. I saw it last week and it seems very nice, and it has a lake, and it has an important city on the other side of the lake. And
what is the place called?
Bowie, and it's somewhere near, it's in between Lausanne and Genève. It's one way of saving my money.
You pay tax?
I pay, well, I have been paying. Actually, the companies that have been managing me have been paying enormous taxes. I have the fortunate experience of not having any money to pay taxes. But over the last year or so, I have decided to start keeping my money, and I would have been paying colossal taxes in America and in England, and I decided I'd rather not keep my money and do something with it.
The state is Bowie making it.
That's very difficult to say. This year?
Well, this year. All out.
Well over an esteem figure.
Where is he?
No, you're not trapping me with that one. My own business.
Is your wife and kid in Switzerland?
They are at the moment, yes. They'll be joining me in Sweden.
You're showing as an introduction to your show, I believe, Dali Buñuel film.
Yes.
Are you very much into sort of after First World War films now?
I've always been very interested in particularly the German and French period of maybe 1910 to 1932. There was the mobility of camera work with the Germans was something that I admired very much, and I liked the language of the Europeans. I was never a Hollywood man.
This was mainly during the youth period.
Yes, right. Yeah, and Switzerland.
Why didn't you want to stay in the United States?
Because it was driving me crazy.
What is New York like?
New York didn't never drive me crazy. No, it was Hollywood and Middle America, the barrenness, the strange, disorientated texture of life. It was something that I found hard to grasp and very hard to understand, especially Hollywood. I don't like that particular kind of morality. And I'm not talking of sexual morality, I'm talking of business morality. Undercurrent of paranoia. This I can see, and the facade of even one's personal life. It seemed highly obnoxious to me that it was so easy to express the facade of one's personal life. Easy to put out film section, emotion, infection, or living room. Not a good place to be. New York, I like. I like New York. It's down to earth. I want some money. I like that, and I admire that. I'm used to that. I know how to deal with that. But Hollywood,
Have you heard any of the New York groups on television?
yes, but I'm not a great star.
With the album?
Yeah, well, yes, but that was that was to keep my band happy.
What does Nancy mean?
Somebody who got me all amount of publicity. Poor old Frankie boy.
Why? What?
Well, it was unfair. He was, I seem to have taken him right out of the context.
Really?
Yes. pleasant. There was some talk of me playing Frank Sinatra, which was a little, it was in fact Frank was going to play the bass solo. Really?
What's the real thing that happened with you?
I don't know. He's never been allowed to see it since. He was invited. In fact, he phoned me up to come to the Hollywood concert and asked me for tickets. And the first time he was coming out, new price he gave me, that and he was not allowed to come. His manager prevented him from coming, from what I hear, and to get up to dinner. Yeah. So this was a guitarist who was working. I heard his new album, and it was very, very good. And possibly his manager was right. Maybe he was minded from the band. But I think it's guitar playing, and he deserves every bit of it.
Did you know anything about singers before coming here? Were you free?
No, I wasn't. I don't take briefings. I will have to find out about it. Unfortunately, I think it would be down to just doing one show and possibly going out and seeing as much of the night time as I can. And, although I'm very wide awake now, I may be able to go out and sightsee, but in one overstop, it becomes no more than sightseeing, which is not something wonderful to do that much. One can and then the big important thing.
Have time for
Yes, I saw the affair, and the Monday is very hard to find. I kept sitting in the back seat, but then people were with me. That way, the last was back in the Red Square, and so all points lead to Red Square.
Do you like dancing?
Not as much as I did when I was a teenager. No.
What about your rumored infatuation with Kraftwerk?
Yes. Well, I think they're a very important band. Why? Briefly, because they used, they've decided that if Muzak is going to be the order of the day for most media, then at least let's make good Muzak. Muzak that can be ignored, or Muzak that can be listened to, and one can derive some pleasure from it. In a nutshell, that's what it is. That's the main fascination. Also their determination to romanticize technology, which I've always believed is the only way for people to be able to live with technology and not be scared of it and not have technology used against them, is to make it have a kind of flirtatious attitude towards it, make it romantic to people so they feel more friendly to it and want to find out more about it. But once it's always cold and dark, people will always be scared of it, and therefore it will always be a power against people.
Have you met Mick Ronson lately?
I have met no.
No seen him anymore?
No.
What do you think of his record?
I don't like them.
No?
No. I think he lost a lot of somehow along the line. I haven't heard them in England. I think actually I've heard but one. I heard Salt on 10th Avenue. I quite like, but no.
What about the Iggy Pop?
What about the Iggy Pop?
Yeah, I need to see one of your collections.
Yes, I've been pushing Iggy for a long time. Iggy, I feel, is one of the more important freeform artists, and he works like a poet. He works like a spontaneous poet. With the material that we've been doing in our living rooms has been, it's against some kind of sound, text or music, and Iggy, we talk around, we'll take maybe a whole morning talking about a subject, and then Iggy would just talk against or sing and make up his own melodies against the music. It's fascinating working with him. He's an extraordinary artist. He's very talented. And I believe it's probably somewhere where maybe bands like Television and Patti Smith would like to be, but they are all the time looking back to movies and looking back to Nico and looking back to that generation. Where Iggy has a contemporary attitude that I find stimulating and vital. He is playing a lot, I play a lot.
And we're trying to pick up musicians from each country we go to. We're going to, when we send a whole album, we may use the band called Noise in Germany, who's graduating classes, and Ecofloet, maybe working. It'll be, I think, mainly European musicians.
Was it raw boost your production?
I'm sorry?
Raw boost.
Raw Power was not a production. Raw Power was an amusing album that Iggy and I both find amusing. Iggy, they brought me in to produce it when Iggy had already recorded everything. I was to mix it. And on the 24th track, Iggy had inadvertently put everything on 3 tracks. So there were 3 tracks to play with, and we did what we could. And there are some classics on it, definitely. But it was an impossible album to win. But it's typical Iggy, I think.
When you took them off the Hooper as your and produced there, so they were
I think with Mott I was too heavy-handed. I was too much of a Bengali, and I gave them something that maybe they had trouble working with and trying to adjust to after the event. It was, from an outsider, I could see how people saw them in this particular kind of proletariat kind of bunch of guys, and I knew the kind of lyric that would work with that particular band that they were carrying. But having done that, it was hard for them to carry it on, which was, I think, maybe unfair of me. With Iggy, it's very much Iggy's fault. I mean, I'm trying to keep myself, you understand? I'm trying to keep myself out of it as much. I'm not producing Iggy, I'm recording him. But I produce, not the people, and I produce Lou Reed. And Lou can cope. Lou has no problem coping with anything. But Mark found it hard to cope. Iggy won't find it hard to cope because he's a very intelligent person. But as long as I stay and don't come on the piece of clay thing, I'm very tempted to do, I must admit, because I have a tyrant nature.
How do you regard your own success? Why have you succeeded, do you think?
Because I don't look back on it.
You don't look
back on it. Never.
All
means to it. Everything I've done in the future has been leading up to now. And I'll say it again next week. Nothing is important anymore. As soon as I've done it, I think that's how I regard my
You don't regard yourself
career.
Who do you think is the greatest living artist besides Bowie?
Besides David, that's a very difficult question.
Well, if I didn't know that.
I can't think of anybody. That's a good idea.
What do you think you have done today if you haven't been a famous music star?
I would have been the comedian.
Playing parts in a theater.
I don't know. I guess I would have still been painting. Really. But if you looked at my paintings, you would have thought I was a comedian.
In a recent interview that I read about you, you said that
You have material enough for 2 more LP releases after this station. And it also stated that you are not very satisfied with your music.
At the station to station, I was dissatisfied with only the mix, that I put on too much echo. I wanted to do it dry, but I copped out at the end and I put echo on it. I should have kept it dry, but the content of the actual music I like very much. I'm more satisfied with station to station than anything else that I've done since probably Diamond Dogs. Diamond Dogs is my second station. But no, I'm not dissatisfied. Not with station to station. Things past, I couldn't come to terms with because I was going through crazy America, and it was hard to. Doing Young Americans was just like taking a piece of the radio and putting it up there. The thing missing from that is I should have put adverts in between the songs. So it was. One doesn't have to like one's work. I think no artist can. I think I've only made one record, and that was the guitar. I mean, an artist kind of takes it like I can relate to terms like painting. Is that in painting maybe of every 20 pictures that I painted, maybe one I like, And of the albums I make, there's only one that I really like. The others I try and try again. They don't have to all be good. God doesn't know bullshit, but every now and again you come up with something good, so that makes all the others worthwhile.
Was David Bowie the rebel?
Not at all, I'm present service. Aren't I? I'm going to go now. I'm going to go, and I thank you very much for meeting me. It's flattering of you all to say that. I'm going to go, and I thank you very much for meeting me. It's flattering of you all to say that. I hope you enjoy the show. I'm sorry? I think he's gone upstairs already. Yeah. Have a guess what they were. What do you think they were? The confiscated books? One was... Shall I tell you? One was a book of Goebbels, the man who had Hitler. And the other one was a Hebrew version of the Old Testament.
Det kan du tro på. Alltså, det var ju meningen att han skulle ha börjat filma den här The Eagle Has Landed. Men du förstår att det var så att filmningen skulle börja starta nu. Samtidigt som turnén började. Så den här David Bowie hade just suttit här. Och då gick det inte att samla utan han var tvungen att hoppa av.